And we're live. Hey! Oh, the whistling never gets old. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. I am Jeff DeWaskin, and welcome to episode 26, where we talk about all the amazing TV shows we should be watching. But as always, we do have a special guest, Tina Marie, with us, and she is going to sing our theme song. Tina, take it away.
Here's the story of some lonely fellas who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have friends, well, not really, just between you and me. We made a live show out of our hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff and Ron and Sal and Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams. Sing with me, guys. And then one day they went
live on all the
platforms.
You can hear the people on the stream.
Still can't find another word.
Platform.
The man
we cross the streams.
We cross the streams. We cross the streams.
That's
the way we do it. Here we cross the streams. No. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, normally you have to go to an Eagles concert to get 5-point harmony. It's so good to be here. Welcome to Crossing the Streams, where we talk about all the amazing things that you should be streaming, whether it be a cool movie or TV show on any of the streaming services. We're here to tell you and sometimes warn you of some of the stuff that's out there. Let's be honest. It's not all run and watch. So between us, we have 700,000 hours of TV movie watching experience.
That's just Jeff.
The rankings have just come in. We are actually 901 ranking. We're number one in 901 countries. Number two in 1,700 countries.
That's really scaled.
We're gonna, it's some countries have actually banned us, so it's not the same scale as previous episodes, and we are number one in 111 states, which makes that.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's amazing. I read that we're number one in Mr. Rogers' Kingdom of Make Believe. Meow, 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 meow.
Meow, 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 meow. So we do have I don't want to be rude. We do have a guest, so let me introduce Tina Marie Trimpert. Welcome. You guys may recognize Tina. She's a frequent guest on the show. It's been a little bit. But Tina, tell us what you're up to and your podcast and all that good stuff.
What I'm up to.
And where to get the best Tex-Mex in Texas.
Oh, Chewy's. Duh. I'm going to go to Austin, go to Chewy's. It's the best. But
wait. To where in Austin?
Chewy's.
Chewy's. Chewy. Not like.
I like Torchy's. I like Torchy's in Austin too.
Yeah. Oh, so a lot of stuff like boom. That's obvious. I figured what they're going to do it bigger. And working on indie pods. That's going to be pushed back a little bit. We're making an announcement about it tomorrow. And with podcasts on a hiatus, a lot of super exciting things have happened where I've met up with these really cool people. It's called CrowdShare. I hope it's okay to say here, Jeff. And we're going to be bumping heads in the best way to get my podcast up in the studio and stuff before work and get us really rolling. Yes.
Awesome.
So go back and listen to all 49 episodes. We talk about everything from psychology to sci-fi to aliens and lucid dreaming and everything like that. And I can't say that we're as good as Jeff, but we're up there.
You're right there. You're right there. So close. All right. So awesome. Well, welcome back to the show. Did you guys watch? Oh wait, you know what? Let me recap first. So if you guys, that's a sneak peek.
No.
So, yeah. Whoops. Live show, folks. Anyway, last week we talked about Invincible, which is an awesome cartoon on Amazon Prime. Army of the Dead, which we all feel you should be dead. You choose death before watching Army of the Dead. Greater, Barb and Star, go to Vista Del Mar. Also, we recommend not going to Vista Del Mar, staying far away from Bark and Star.
Oh my gosh.
And Jiri Haji, which was highly praised by our friend Ron Lippett. This week we got some fun stuff to talk about. We got Lucifer, My Dinner with Herve, Nightcrawler, The Kominsky Method, and Hacks on Amazon Prime. So we got a bunch of cool stuff. But before we get to all that, did you guys watch the Friends reunion? Howard, did you watch it? What did you think?
I did. Yeah, I mean, it was both nostalgic and totally unnecessary at the same time. It was one of those ones where you're watching it going, oh, cool, cool, cool. And at the end, you're like, I don't know why I wasted my time with that. But if you were a Friends fan, and you know you were, watch it just for nostalgia's sake, if nothing else. And then to see, like, I mean, Jennifer Aniston has clearly made a deal with the devil. She has not aged. Oh, God, it's crazy. Courtney Cox also. And Lisa Kudrow, like, they were doing table reads during the show. And Lisa Kudrow was doing spot on from the original episodes in her table reads. It was amazing.
Wow.
It forced us to go and watch The Comeback with Lisa Kudrow on HBO, which was a great follow-up for her. So,
well,
but yeah, it was an okay reunion, I thought.
I heard they got $2.5 million each to be there. Hi, Tim.
I heard $5 million. I heard $5 million each.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
They
Probably
got millions.
probably did.
They got millions each.
Yeah.
$6 million.
I don't think Jennifer Aniston looks that great. I think
didn't think so
those glasses, whoever told her she looked good in those glasses should be fired also. But the other thing is Jennifer Aniston, who I found kind of annoying actually during the whole show, she seemed like she was faking being excited to be there. Like Joey legit seemed like he was there to really kind of soak it all in, have a good time. That kind of, to me, showed. Courtney too. David Schwimmer, I'm not sure if they just had a guy green screened that we couldn't see pulling his face back that far, but he was okay. And with the table read, it's because they're actors. And yeah, she did it great. Ross did it great. Again, Jennifer Aniston freaking phoned it in. You know, he's like, she could have made something of that table read. I mean, for crying out loud, right? And I
was a table read. It wasn't. They weren't filming.
Practice.
Well, but it was the whole point. It was
practice.
The point was the point of the table read was like their kind of middle ground to sort of say, well, we're not going to do a new episode, we're not going to do a thing, but we'll just relive the ones that we've already done. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I thought she could have put a little more into it. She could have.
So Jeff, I actually largely agree with you on this. I will say this. David Schwimmer, I thought he looked the best of the five of them. He looks like he's in good shape. He looks exactly like he did back on the show. The one I absolutely agree with you that Jennifer Aniston just like mailed it in, and Joey, what's Joey's name again? Matt LeBlanc. Yeah, he looked like he was having the best time of his life on that show, just coming back and doing all the memories and kind of playing that role. And I thought every scene with him seemed to be pretty happy. I was very sad looking at Matthew Perry.
Yeah, I was just going to say the trailer was. I didn't watch the show, but the trailer was. He doesn't look right.
Yeah, and listen, we all know he's got a lot going on, and right, so it's okay. But I hope that where he's at, or at least where he was at on that show, is not the final destination for him. I hope there's a better place for him because he didn't look good.
How does he look throughout the whole show?
Lost.
He was better. He was better than the one clip show.
Oh,
he was
okay.
more.
All right.
Well, he was more
he-
lucid than the one clip.
I don't have a voice.
He looked like he had dental surgery and was trying to keep a happy face and not pass out.
If it's something like that, then God bless him. He didn't want to give up the money. He's like, hey, I'm going to do the show no matter what.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing thing to me was just the fact that it put a cap on how much time has passed in such a seemingly short amount of time, right? Because it was like 20 years, wasn't it? Or and I'm like, holy shit, how was that 20 years?
It was 94 to 2004, so it's been 17 years since the show ended.
Wow.
I thought Lady Gaga coming on and doing Smelly Cat was freaking great.
It was great.
You know,
this happened.
yeah.
See, I didn't think that was like, to me, like the most forced line is when Lisa Kudrow at the end of that says, "Thanks for carrying it on." You know, it's like they like
Jeff,
Lady
Gaga. You've been hanging out with Kevin that was on the show last week. I think he's rubbed off on you. You're just a contrarian now.
They basically said to Lady Gaga, "Okay, look, if you do this, we'll acknowledge that you're the weird one and you're the quirky personality in this world."
I mean,
she doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was fun.
Listen, it was a stupid show. We all knew it was going to be a stupid show.
I think what they missed out on was, one, they didn't cover the majority of the famous people that have been on that show. They could have done a montage or something like that. Justin Bieber, BTS.
I was waiting for Brad Pitt to come on. I thought Brad Pitt
they've had so many famous people. I mean, just the moms.
Paul Rudd.
$1 million each, though. How much does it cost? Like, to even have like Brad Pitt up here on there.
Well, no, they could have just done a montage. They could have just acknowledged it all. And Mr. Heckles, and I agree with
that was weird.
So they bring in Larry Hankin. Oh, they're doing a game show. No one can remember Mr. Heckles' name, and then they have Larry Hankin, who played Mr. Heckles in the first few seasons, come out as the character, do a little shtick, and then leave. It's as if like nobody could have just said Mr. Heckles, and then they go, "Oh, Mr. Heckles." And then just edited it so that they looked like, I mean, it was embarrassing to me that they couldn't remember his name from the show, and then they had him come out. I mean, it's just like, why have him come out if these people have no recollection of him? You know what I mean? It didn't even make sense to me.
That makes sense.
I think somebody in one of our earlier shows did reviewed episodes. And if you really like Matt LeBlanc and want to see him be so happy and like joke about having been Joey in a happy way, watch episodes, because it's a superb step of the future of him and that character. Like, there's the one episode where he's desperately trying to get a favor and get somebody to appear on a show or I can't remember what it was, whether it was a banquet or something with him, and none of the other friends were able to do it. He could only get Gunther. So it's like they constantly joke about him being Joey on that show. It's
Sally,
really
did you see it?
No, I did. What, the episodes or
the Friends reunion?
No.
Did you watch the reunion? So Matt LeBlanc tells a story about his final read through before he officially got the part. He got drunk with his friends the night before and fell and hit his face on a toilet and cut his nose like into this giant sore that he had to show up the next morning. And he had to tell the producers, "Yeah, I got drunk and fell and hit my nose."
My God.
And they gave him the job anyway. It's a funny story.
All right. Well, that's fun. So I definitely, if you love Friends, you should definitely check it out. It's totally worth checking out, I believe.
Don't watch Forrest Gump either. Piece of shit.
Hey.
How are we gonna get monetization if you're swearing?
That's a good point.
All right, let's move on. We're gonna talk about the Jake Gyllenhaal. Before he saved Jazz, he was a Nightcrawler.
That's true. That's true. Have you guys seen this show? Did anybody ever see Nightcrawler?
No. Tell us all about it.
So, Tina, you did? So this was
Yes.
a movie that I was by myself in LA on a work trip. That it was kind of the second choice movie. The first choice I didn't, either the timing didn't work or whatever, and so I just ended up alone watching this movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. I didn't even really know at the time this movie Nightcrawler, and this turned out, I will tell you, to be a movie that I think about all the time, just in terms of a super dark movie that gets even darker as the movie goes on, with incredible acting, a great storyline, an amazing character arc, and just unbelievable performances by Rene Russo and Jake Gyllenhaal and Riz Ahmed, who's one of my very favorite actors out there. I don't know if you guys know Riz Ahmed, but he's been in a number of shows. My very favorite of his is the HBO miniseries, The Night of, with Riz Ahmed. Is it really, Tina? Are you?
Always, yes. No, you always like have the same shows and movies that I like. Always talk about them.
So for those, thank you, I appreciate that. So for those of you that don't know the story of this, it's about a thief, a guy who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, who's lost his career, has no idea what he's going to do with his life on the streets of LA, and decides he wants to become a Nightcrawler. That is someone who chases after evening time crime with his camera, so that he can sell the footage back to the news stations. And that's where Rene Russo, being a kind of on the dying station in LA, is buying his footage. But as the movie gets darker and darker, what you find out is that Jake Gyllenhaal is becoming more and more aggressive and more kind of outside the boundaries of what's ethical in terms of how he's getting the footage of what happens overnight in LA. And it's just a terrific story. I don't know if you guys know this. This thing was nominated for like a dozen Academy Awards, and it incredibly didn't win at all. I don't know what it was up against. I'll have to look that up. But it's a 2014 movie, so I probably could figure out what it was up against. But Jake Gyllenhaal was up for Best Actor and for the Best Screenplay, and because I guess he was part of the screenplay for this. And, listen, I think it's one of those stories that takes you on a ride. You don't know where it's going to go. And it's also one of these movies that it's not that you feel good at the end of it. You don't feel good, but you feel as though you learned about the true, the true arc of somebody from the streets who's got to do what he's got to do in order to make things work out. It's not something that is necessarily a good thing, but you understand it, and you kind of come to a conclusion about it. I will just say one thing about one of the side characters is Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton seems to be a side character in every movie, but he does a great job as kind of like the moral compass of the movie, and then ends up in a bad place because of it. I don't want to give anything away, but basically what you find out is anyone who comes into Jake Gyllenhaal's little vortex ends up worse for the wear. And it's a great story.
Like in real life.
So one other interesting thing is that you'll notice right away when you see Jake Gyllenhaal, he looks rail thin in this movie. And I'm not sure what that added to the character, but I do know that he dropped like 30 pounds, and he's not a big guy to begin with. So he dropped like 30 pounds to do this role, and stayed in character the whole time. I guess he broke all kinds of things on the set just because he stayed in character. He did the whole, what do you call that, where you stay in character?
Method acting.
Method acting. He just went back to the whole thing.
Christian Bale annoyance.
Christian Bale level. Yeah. So anyway, check it out. I didn't have a show for you guys this week, so I wanted to harken back to one of my very favorite movies from 2014. Check it out, Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal. And I definitely think if you don't love it, I think you'll come to super appreciate what it does for the 2 hours. So
Jake Gyllenhaal in Spider-Man: Dead or Alive.
Jake Gyllenhaal
Wasn't he Mysterio? Alive, yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
As Mysterio?
Yeah, as Mysterio. Yeah.
Hey,
He's
Ron,
alive.
did they leave any clues about maybe doing a second sequel to that movie?
No, I think that this was kind of a moment in time. It was a low budget movie. I mean, I guess 8 million is. Do you consider 8 million low budget? I guess by today's standards, probably is.
Oh yeah,
that's low budget.
8 million, and I think it made something like 30 or 40 million. So it kind of was a very quick, flicker in Hollywood terms. But I think the power of this movie is not the production so much as it is the story and the acting, which is fantastic.
Speaking of fantastic, let's move on. Let's move on to our next one, which is Lucifer, which is about the devil. Tina, tell us all about Lucifer.
It's almost like a satanic god cop. Tom Ellis is absolutely 100% delicious. Just so you know, you as males can just appreciate him being Tom Ellis. But I mean, he comes in season 1, and we're on season 2 now. He comes in with sweet, I don't know what it is. Is it a Maserati? It's something. It's a really nice car. And he just sweeps you off your feet, just being a devil. So he works with Chloe, who is a detective, and they kind of met by chance because he ran into some stuff going on with this girl that had made a deal with him basically, and that's how it all begins, like literally in the pilot. She dies. She's killed by somebody. They end up marrying up, and kind of the devil's doing detective work. I usually do not like movies or shows that are too cocky. I don't love cop and detective anything. It makes me nervous. So I basically, it gives me anxiety, to be honest. But anyways, Lucifer, there's a lot of really great character build up. You really get to know all of them. I wanted just like Mazikeen. So if you've seen Lucifer, you know who Mazikeen is. That's like his little side girl. Like that's the devil's advocate, I guess you'd say. But she's always ready for him to be his devilish self. Um, I'm really excited about season 2. I haven't really gotten into it, so I can't talk too much about it. And I just know that if Tom Ellis is crying out loud to go and watch Lucifer, just look it up. And me telling you this, so even though I don't have much depth to what I'm saying here, watch it because I can't explain it all. The DOP does an amazing job. I appreciate that. The music is always on point from scene to scene. It's really just an all-in-all great show. Not as flat on Rotten Tomatoes. Who cares what they say?
Cool.
Hmm.
Anyone else seen this show?
I have not. So did I hear you? It's kind of a devil cop show, sort of?
Well, it's Lucifer. He's on Earth. There are moments they go back and you can see the underworld and everything. And his dad got mad at him. And those are very small, fleeting moments excuse me, throughout the whole everything. I cannot think of words.
So it's like Charmed.
It's not like do not put this in the same category as Charmed. That is blasphemous.
The devil. It's basically the devil comes to LA.
Pre or post Rose
And
McGowan.
tries to learn.
Yeah.
And tries to learn all about humanity.
But he already knows. He'll go up to people and he'll be like, "Tell me your wildest desires." And his British accent's like, "What do you desire the most, detective?" And it's like, "I'll tell you everything you want to hear." So, no, there's a lot of like crime solving and like crazy stuff happening, all of these side missions basically. And he's pretty much, you think he's in love with the detective after a while in season 1. And that's the only major spoiler that I will give, because if you haven't watched it, you really should.
Got it. All right. So that's a thumbs
trying to see
up.
what else he's been in. I don't know what else he's been in.
Tom Ellis?
Tom Ellis. Yeah.
He's been in a lot.
Lucifer apparently did a crossover with the other DC comic shows on CW, the Flash and the Arrowverse crossover.
Was he in Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I think that was a subplot to get the Green Arrow back to life. Anyway, okay.
Yes. He was in Gotham.
So I think I saw that now that you mention it. All right. Excellent job, Tina. Let's move on to Peter Dinklage classic, My Dinner with Herve. Herve.
So
take it away, Sal.
Thanks, Jeff. Let me tell you why I chose this. As we all know, and definitely Jeff, we just talked about Gavin MacLeod. So when Gavin MacLeod died, I just started going down a rabbit hole of him. It just seems like when somebody dies, I always go down a rabbit hole. I either watch their movie or, you know what I mean? I know you guys probably do the same thing. And all of a sudden it started throwing up, because I was Googling that, it started throwing up, because Gavin MacLeod was on a show called Love Boat. I don't know, Tina, you're probably too young to know all this stuff.
I know about it. Come on now.
Okay, all right.
Well,
good. I always feel so old on this show. But anyway, so anyway, that's how I did it. And then it came up, Fantasy Island came up, and I just started reading about that. And then all of a sudden it kind of gives you, what is connected to that. And this My Dinner with Herve came up, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't remember this. And Herve Villachez was an actor in the 80s. His most famous role was on Fantasy Island with Ricardo Montalban. He was a small statured actor, as we all know, if you've watched that show for years. I don't know about you guys, but I used to watch Love Boat and Fantasy Island every Friday night when I was a kid growing up. So it was something that I had to do. And I never knew about this movie. It came out on HBO a couple years ago, and I just missed it. Never saw it, 'cause I love that show, so I would have watched it. But anyway, got a chance to do it now. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a backstory on that. So basically, it's based on the later days of Herve Villachez. And what the movie's about, first of all, is written and directed by Sasha Gervasi. I hope I'm saying that name right. And he wrote The Terminal, and Steven Spielberg directed that. And I kind of did some research on that. And Steven Spielberg only directed 2 movies in his career that he didn't write, and this was one of them. So, very prominent writer here. Anyway, it stars, like you guys said, Peter Dinklage, who was in Game of Thrones. He plays Herve, and he does a fantastic job.
He does a great job in everything.
Yeah, so he was really good. Andy Garcia plays Ricardo Montalban. And then there's so basically what the story is about is exactly what it sounds like. My Dinner with Herve. It's literally the whole movie takes place in 11 hours. Supposedly a true story. Again, just like we talked about every movie, you don't know what they embellish in this thing, but if it was anything close to this night that these 2 guys had, it was an amazing story. So basically, this journalist, Danny Tate, lands an interview with Herve Villachez. So he flies out to LA to interview him. They go to dinner, and it doesn't go very well. They don't connect very well, and the journalist has to go interview somebody else and just leaves. And then Herve Villachez calls the guy up later on in the night and says, let's continue the interview. So they do. He picks him up again. Now he starts delving. And this guy's also an alcoholic, this journalist. So he takes him to, Herve just wants to take him everywhere and talks about his life, but also kind of wants to give this guy a night out as well. They go to the strip club, and there's a scene, crazy scenes in there. They go to one of Herve Villachez's managers because he finds out, the journalist tells him that Ricardo Montalban had issues with you on the set, and he doesn't believe him. So they literally go to the producer's house. I mean, it's just a whirlwind night, almost like Hangover type stuff, and just crazy stuff. One of the great stories, I don't know if it's true, but I guess when Herve Villachez, when he first got into acting, he moved to New York. He literally locked himself up in his apartment for 2 months. Finally goes out on an audition for the James Bond movie, and literally they're in one of the producer's office or something. They're like, there's a guy out in the lobby with a knife or something. He literally threatened this casting agency to put him in this movie, and he gets the part. I mean, he gets the part. If you guys remember that, I think Goldfinger, and
Man with the Golden Gun,
or the Man with the Golden Gun. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And, so anyway, he gets that part, and he does a great job on it. And then obviously and then he goes 4 years without doing anything. And when you're, let's face it, when you're 3'11", there's not going to be a lot of, you're not going to get a lot of parts. So, he struggled for a while. And then the Fantasy Island part came up, and he got that. And that made him a superstar. He was so famous after that. And it just goes through. He talks about his life, his divorces. And it's really unfortunate because, spoiler alert here, but we all know how the guy, if you know anything about the actor, you know how he died. So before this journalist gets this great story, he wants to run it. And because of the way Herve Villachez died, the editor or whatever of the paper, I forgot what one it was, but they didn't want to run it. So now this guy's got, this great story, and that's how he wrote the book, and then the book became the movie, and that's kind of how it all happened. But I definitely recommend this if you're into any of those 80s shows, especially Fantasy Island, or you just want to learn about an actor that, again, wasn't up for a lot of roles, and just became this great character that everybody loved. I mean, everybody loved. He had one of the most famous television phrases, "The plane," when the plane was coming in for Fantasy Island. I mean, he made that so famous. I mean, there was people with T-shirts that said that. He was like a superstar. He reminds me of, again, just talking smaller statue actors. who's the guy in the Michael Myers movies?
Right, the mini-me.
Mini-me.
Mini-me. He's kind of obviously became that famous like Mini-me was just a few years ago. But I highly recommend this movie. I thought it was
I've
really
heard
good.
I've heard really good
Vern
things about
Troyer.
that. And Vern Troyer. Yeah, I always thought he lived a similar life. Obviously, he didn't die the same, but he lived a similar life to Andre the Giant.
Yes.
You know, that he had a couple of key moments, and the rest was filled with alcoholism and just raging parties and just things that you just can't imagine someone of that size would take on for himself. But it's all true.
Yeah, it was very, very good. I love, as you guys get to know me more on this show, I love doing biography movies or movies that are about, people's lives and stuff. So I really enjoyed this one. This one was better than I expected. I didn't think this guy was that crazy off stage or off camera or whatever you want to call it. But he was a fire plug, man. That guy, man.
I'll have to check that out. I remember seeing when this came out, and Peter Dinklage is like just one of the best actors, period.
Yep.
And he does a good job.
He's
got an Elf.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, an Elf. That's one of the funniest things.
It is.
One more time.
What's the most recent thing he's done?
What was that?
What's that?
What's the most recent thing Peter has done?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. But he's probably been in some other movies besides that during that time.
Game of Thrones has made him an international superstar.
Yeah.
So it was a made for HBO movie, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sal.
Yeah.
And again, for the second week in a row, the side character that gets none of the credit, just like in Barb and Star, was Jamie Dornan from 50 Shades of Grey. So he's been decent. Yeah. He's been good in other things other than that. But, yeah. Terrible.
Definitely recommend this.
So,
Very cool.
5 tomato sauce jars.
5 tomato sauce jars. Excellent.
Wait, how many?
5 tomato sauce.
That's a big deal.
Wow.
That is a big deal.
That is a big deal. He doesn't give out the 5.
I really enjoyed it. It moved fast. Just great.
Awesome. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna go next. I have a nice little show that I've been watching called Hacks on HBO. It's an HBO Max original show, and I'm gonna remember. Usually I don't when I'm there. We go. So Hacks is, I don't know how to explain Hacks. Hacks is like one of those shows where it's just a show. I mean, it's just a story. The acting and the writing is great. It's a sitcom. It's I think it's got 6 episodes out. I think the next one comes out tomorrow. So it releases once a week. It's in its first run. And it's a story about this comedian, Deborah Vance, who was a big actress when she was younger. She was married and with her husband had a big TV show. They became super famous. And then her husband, this is all the backstory of the show. In the show, it's the backstory too. Leaves her for her sister. She burns his house down. She becomes the crazy person, but then she becomes this huge headlining comedian in Vegas at one of the main casinos, and it has a big QVC thing. So there's some Joan Rivers in there and stuff like that, and just pieces of different things. So she's like this huge big name. Okay. And so then it parallels with this 25-year-old nothing who is an up and coming comedian, but she tweets something and basically gets canceled. So nobody will come anywhere near her. The only job she can get reluctantly is to help this Deborah Vance character write comedy, just be sort of her writer. So it becomes this weird, dark mentorship. And the story is really just about their relationship and just kind of episode to episode, kind of learning more and more about these characters. There isn't anything specific. There isn't like, I need to get this, or this person died and we had to figure out who died. There's nothing like that. But it does star Jean Smart. Jean Smart is you would remember her from Designing Women. That was her big thing. Designing Women. She also had a huge role in the HBO The Watchmen. She played the older version of I think Silk Stocking. Is that yeah, she played the
Malin Ackerman character.
Yeah, she played the older version of one of the characters from the movie, one of the old superheroes. She is one of the best. Like when you're watching it, just so you know, you're watching someone who's going to win every award for this acting gig. And the other person that's in it, her name's Hannah Einbinder. I think she's a newcomer. She's really good too. She's real nice to watch. So it's really just really well done show. I mean, it's I just started watching it because somebody was like, "Oh, Gene Smart," and does it again, and so we just started watching it because I had nothing else to watch. I didn't realize the Kominsky Method, which Howard is going to talk about, had come out, so we started watching this, and I kind of really say you should go watch it, but it's like one of those shows you can kind of just watch, and you could kind of watch something else and then go back to it. It's not one of those like, where it's like, oh my God, what happened? I got to watch the next episode. It's just old fashioned good storytelling and a good.
How many seasons is it, Jeff?
This is the first season. There's only been 6 episodes. I don't even know how many total episodes there's going to be. 7 comes out tomorrow.
Oh, they don't drop them all at once, huh?
No. No, but I mean, I would, if you want to watch a masterclass in just acting and stuff, I mean, it's really good. I mean, it's worth it. I think it's a lot of
stand-ups. Is there a lot of stand-up scenes with audience members and stuff?
Not really, just enough to kind of give you the idea that she does it, and what they do show, she does well. You know what I mean? But it's just 30-second type thing, like coming out or going, starting, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's a real Vegas style type comedy bit.
Cool.
But it's just a matter, you just keep learning more and more. Maybe at some point there'll be something. But in the meantime, I mean, I dig it. It's worth kind of checking out. So it's one of those like if you got it, just watch. I don't even know how.
Yeah, I don't need. If the acting is good, really good, a character-driven show that's just character interaction and dialogue is perfectly fine. A lot of action or crazy storyline is great, but if the acting is spectacular, then that's enough. That can carry a show without question.
Yeah. Well, then in that case, you will definitely love this show. And
I mean, that's how Charmed, I thought, did so well.
Only the Rose McGowan years.
Why is Charmed being brought up again? Because people used to say I look like Alyssa Milano.
Ooh, you do look a little bit like Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
A little. I can see it.
Yeah.
I'm Tina Marie.
I can't think of her name. The girl from you look like the girl from Saved by the Bell too. You remember the one
Tiffany Amber Thiessen?
No, the other one that did the stripper movie.
Oh, Elizabeth Berkley.
But what was her name?
Elizabeth
Berkley.
Yeah, that's
Michigan Zone, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yes, you look like
my subdivision zone.
You look like the stripper hooker girl, Tina.
Sorry, I put it that way.
I don't even know what to do here.
My daughter just in the other room goes, "What? What are you saying?"
Well played.
Why is it funny?
Weird people like Megan Fox, and my son was like, "You do not look like Megan Fox to me." Like last.
Oh, there's a little Megan Fox. Yeah.
That's fine. No, it's my hair. It's because my hair's on.
Could be.
Side.
Yeah. That's true.
Right. If I put my hair to one side, I'd look like Megan Fox.
You're right. You would, Jeff. Around the eyes, mostly.
I get people coming out to me, Mission Impossible? No.
That's me.
I am not Tom Cruise. I am not Tom.
You are not.
No.
We can all agree.
Though Jason Weiss's mom once said I look like Tom Cruise. Anyway, that being said, okay. So let's we do have another show to go over. This is a good one, and I'm sad that it's ending. This is the Kominsky Method from Chuck Lorre, who brought us The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. So just finished a kind of half of season 3, the final season of the show. So for those of you who don't know, the gist of the show from the beginning is Michael Douglas plays a character named Sandy Kominsky, who is a great acting teacher, owns an acting school in Hollywood that he runs with his daughter, who's exceptional in the show. And his best friend, Alan Arkin, is Norman Newlander, who's a huge Hollywood producer, has been in Hollywood for ages. And the show really, it really is a, senior-driven show with issues that seniors face, which is fascinating, I thought, from the beginning, to have a show that's based off of that. But to do it in a setting, Hollywood, that's considerably easy for you to say, a younger, flashy environment in any other show you watch, was really unique. I loved the fact that during the course of the series, they used a lot of great 50-plus-year-old actors. Jane Seymour is amazing in the show. Nancy Travis is in the show. She's great in everything. Lisa Edelstein plays Norman Newlander's daughter. Haley Joel Osment plays his grandson, and he's spectacular in the end of season 2 into season 3. And then into season 3, at the end of season 2 and into season 3, Kathleen Turner plays Michael Douglas's ex-wife. And if everybody remembers, obviously, the connection and chemistry that Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner had with Romancing the Stone, Jewel of the Nile,
War of the Roses.
They're incredible together still. Their timing in this series is incredible. They riff off of each other great. So anyways, like I said, the gist of the show over the first couple of seasons, part of the first season, Norman's wife passes away, and he has to deal with that and dating and having sex as a senior for the first time in 50 years or whatever it is, medical issues that Michael Douglas has to face.
Oh, no.
But it's a really, really good show. Season 2 ended, and then the pandemic hit as they were getting ready to film season 3. And apparently Alan Arkin, with the downtime from any form of acting during the pandemic, has apparently just decided to retire. For the most part, he's done acting. He wrote a book, and that's what he wants to do. So they had to write him out when they did season 3, and they really did season 3, to address him not coming back, and then decided to shorten it and just to put a bow on the series, which I thought is amazing. We've talked about it before, how many series just cancel and they never wrap up the series.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the six episodes of this series, they pay tribute to him, and then they wrap up the show in a I don't know about you, Jeff, but I thought the way they wrapped up the show was exceptional. It was so happy, and it was great redemption, and it was just it was well acted, and it was just a very, very. It was sad that Norman was not in the final season, Alan Arkin's character, but I thought the way they wrapped it up was just it just really hit the right note. That it was just, you were like, that is the way this show should have wrapped up. Nothing crazy. There were sad parts too, but in the end, it was heartwarming, and I thought it was great. The acting and the comic timing of all these people that have been doing comic movies and TV shows for years, it's great. The best character in the show is the waiter at the restaurant that Alan Arkin and Michael Douglas have lunch in all the time. He's a great character, really funny. But it's a really, really good show. 22 episodes, I think, 8 and 6. It's a super easy watch on Netflix. It's a great show. Go watch it. If you want to laugh, but not slapstick laugh. And then I also forgot, in season 2, one of the main characters, who's also a senior in the show, is Alan Arkin's daughter. Michael Douglas's daughter starts dating Paul Reiser, who's 67 in the show, wearing a ponytail. He's great. He's total Paul Reiser and is great. So go watch the show. You can do it in a week, all 3 seasons in a weekend, easy, and it's superb.
So when I was on my podcast, I interviewed Billy Van Zandt. And Billy Van Zandt did a lot of the TV shows that we grew up with, Anything But Love, and a lot of the end of Newhart, and created Suddenly Susan, and like a lot of shows. The Martin Show, Martin Lawrence's first show, the Wayans Brothers' first show, and he would tell stories how he would try to get, he would get very old actors to come onto the shows, and then the producers and stuff would always freak out, or the TV executives would freak out because they're bringing these old people, but they're like, just let it trust me, because these guys knew what to do, right? These guys knew how to just be funny. This show kind of exemplifies that. So I'm not going to talk about getting to season 3 in a second, but season 1 and season 2 is a Chuck Lorre show, Big Bang Theory, whatever you think about that, or 2.5 Men. This is the best thing he's ever done.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah,
and no freaking laugh track like Big Bang Theory.
So
Big Bang Theory was good, but I've heard nothing but great things about
Big Bang Theory. Season 1 is great. It's legit funny. It doesn't, at some point. Oh, here's a funny Big Bang Theory story. At one point, I was on Twitter, and I'm like, I was getting into something with someone, or it was like the Big Bang Theory. I mean, if you took away the soundtrack or the laugh track. You take away the laugh track, you don't got much. And some guys, like, they don't use a laugh track. And I'm like, come on, listen to the show. You can hear the words. That laughter doesn't match the word, whatever it was back when. He's like, I'm telling you, there's no laugh track. We don't do that. Or we don't juice it or whatever. And I'm like, it ends up I'm arguing with like a main guy from the Big Bang Theory. I didn't realize. I look at his bio, and then suddenly I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
What I was going to say is so you have 2 of the best actors in the world, Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin. Alan Arkin, I could sit is to me the actor that I can watch in anything. He's in that camp movie. What's that one called?
Indian Summer.
Indian Summer, and he's in a million things. But I don't know what it is.
In-laws is one of the In-Laws is one of the funniest.
Yeah. The 2 of them had such chemistry together, him and Michael Douglas. It was brilliant. That's why I was sad when he wasn't coming back for season 3. But the issue I have with like season 3 is that it's not what it would have been or what it was supposed to be. The whole show has to be to address the fact that this characters, they killed him off, and so. And so they elevate characters like the daughter and Haley Joel Osment, which I think are good in pieces. You know what I mean? But I'm only halfway through, and I do enjoy it. And Kathleen Turner is a joy to watch, and Paul Reiser was a little depressing. A great actor, but they made him look old. I thought he was that old, and I got depressed. But he isn't that old.
No.
Tina, yes. Tina has a question. Did you want to say something?
Okay, so if you'll have to back again, I do. I want to talk about this movie that I watched called The Devil All the Time, since I did Lucifer. For some reason, I don't know what's up with me. But Devil All the Time is a really good movie. We're going to talk about that next time.
For sure. All right, well, you'll be back.
Hey, Jeff, I just, once again, I'm agreeing with you for whatever reason today, all show long. So Alan Arkin, in my mind, I have not seen the Kominsky Method. So the fact that you guys are so excited about Alan Arkin on the show, really, it does, that means a lot. Glengarry Glen Ross, Ocean's 11, even Argo, I thought he's just such a complicated and well-rounded actor. He can do it all. So the fact that you guys are describing great chemistry between him and Michael Douglas sells the show really well.
He's in a different category. Like Charles Grodin, I would put in that same category where you can't think of anything you didn't just enjoy him watching. Maybe you didn't like the movie or whatever, but him as an actor, you always enjoy. I mean, it's just
Didn't he win an Oscar for Glengarry Glen Ross? Or he was up for it? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
His son was a big actor too. He was on, I think, Chicago Hope.
Adam Arkin, yeah. He was great. In the first season, when he's dealing with his wife having passed away, he's in this big house all by himself, and he sees his wife in visions, and he interacts with his wife in visions, and him in that first season especially is incredible. And then Lisa Edelstein plays his daughter, and then he starts dating Jane Seymour in the second season as well. It's great. So Jeff had let the cat out of the bag. That's how they wrote him out, is that he did pass away.
Well, in my defense, they do that is the first 5 seconds.
Yeah. The funeral in that episode, his funeral, is one of the better episodes of any 30-minute sitcom that I have seen in a long, long time. That is a great episode. It's so well written. And well acted. Haley Joel Osment is really funny as the grandson who escaped Scientology, and he's Lisa Edelstein. Lisa Edelstein, if nobody remembers, was from House, and I think she's great. It's a really good job.
That's the only place where Howard and I slightly disagree. The first episode of the third season is a long episode. I think it's like 40 some minutes, 37, 40 minutes. So it's not like the normal shorter, half hour-ish, 25 minute. So the beginning of it is the funeral. I found the funeral painful to watch, not because I was sad. I found the eulogies and all that. I found it kind of painful. So it was but it morphs then into a kind of a normal episode. They just kind of got to get through that. And then in episode 2 and 3 kind of is the normal show and the pattern, which I enjoyed immensely. But I found the funeral to be a little hard.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was great.
Maybe I need to watch it again.
And while there's no chemistry,
there's an episode of It's Always Sunny. Oh.
What's that?
Who's talking?
Go for it.
I was just gonna say one little thing. I watched an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and then when they had the funeral thing, I felt really uncomfortable, and I was like, "Gosh, I can't watch this." So now I really need to go and check it out just to see, do I side with you or you?
Yeah.
Well, you have to watch season 1 and 2 first, though, because you gotta be invested in the characters. Yeah. But you should watch it.
While they didn't have the Alan Arkin, Michael Douglas chemistry in season 3, obviously, I did enjoy the fact that maybe, while not as good, they did replace it with the Kathleen Turnham, Michael Douglas chemistry in those middle episodes, and I thought it was great.
They lucked into having introduced her in season 2, and so they
needed her in season 3. Yeah, absolutely. So
that was cool. So
and Barry Levinson, of all people, making a couple of appearances in season.
So definitely everyone check out the Kominsky Method. It's definitely, and like Howard said, you just breeze right through it because it's so enjoyable to watch. You just keep going.
But he froze.
Your face froze, but it actually was an improvement.
Just like taking Botox, Sally.
Just like it.
Was I the only one that froze? You guys froze too.
No, I think it was just you, my friend. But but that's okay. It's okay. Yes, we all froze.
I don't know. It was. I thought I was the only one live. You guys were all frozen.
You're the only one at the drive-in at a Dunkin' Donuts. Cool. All right. Well, hey, I think that's it. I think we're at the end of yet another amazing episode. Thank you, guys. Tina, say goodbye. Say goodnight.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Howard, say goodbye the same way she just did.
Yeah, Howard, do it the same way Tina did.
Like a Jerry Maguire.
Do it.
Sal, say goodnight.
It's
Good night,
a bingo.
everybody. Thanks for watching Crossing the Streams. See us next Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Ron, say goodnight.
Good night, boys and girls. Always a good time with you. Look forward to next week.
Peace.
All right. And I'm Jeff Dewaskin. Thank you very much for joining us once again for Crossing the Streams. And check us back, like Sal said, every Wednesday at 9:30. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Catch it in the show notes. Catch it later. Tell your friends.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Woo!
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Crossing the Streams, brought to you by scenesnobs.com and part of the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Your hosts, of course, Jeff Dwoskin, Sal D'Amelio, Bob Phillips, Ron Lippett, and Howard Rosner. Follow us all on the socials, and we'll see you next week and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars. We're going live and crossing more streams.